What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. I'm Michigan Sports Talk here, and in this one I talk about whether or not Michigan got disrespected in a Big Ten preseason media poll. I go a little in-depth on it, and also which Big Ten games will be the biggest deciding factors of who plays in the Big Ten championship. Also give some news on Big Ten media days and what time Sharon Moore and Michigan players will be talking on Thursday, July 25th. We also got some news on a Netflix documentary on Connor Stalions and also some JJ McCarthy news. It's all going to be in this video and more, so let's go ahead and get right into it. Alright, so I wanted to start this video by talking about a Big Ten preseason media poll, as the poll was featured by Kings of the North. It included 33 voters representing the 18 teams, with reporters from ESPN, The Athletic, 24/7 Sports, and others. And I would say the poll is a little controversial, and Ohio State was picked to win the conference, while Oregon was number 2, Penn State number 3, and then Michigan number 4, as they were ahead of Iowa, USC, Wisconsin, Nebraska, Rutgers, Washington at number 10, and the rest of the list was Maryland, Minnesota, UCLA, Illinois, Michigan State, Northwestern, Indiana, and Purdue. Now Michigan, they didn't receive a single first place vote, with only one media member predicting them to go back to the Big Ten championship game, but 24 voters had Ohio State beating Oregon, 6 had Oregon beating Ohio State, and 2 voters had Ohio State beating Penn State in the Big Ten championship game. Now this is where it gets a little interesting. In addition to the standings in the conference and Big Ten championship predictions, they're also asked to predict which Big Ten teams would make the college football playoffs, which expands to 12 teams, and 100% of the voters predicted Ohio State and Oregon to make the playoffs, while Penn State received 21 votes they would make the playoffs, and 17 also said that Michigan will make their 4th straight CFP appearance. So while Michigan may have gotten a little disrespected in the preseason Big Ten media poll, 17 of those voters do believe Michigan will still make the college football playoffs, and obviously their reason being is that schedule that they have, the strength of schedule. It is one of, if not the best strength of schedule of any team in college football next season. So I do want to talk about this a little bit though, as obviously I can see why the voters predicted Michigan not to make the Big Ten championship and also put Penn State ahead of them, because when you look at Michigan's schedule, obviously they have Texas, a non-conference game, so that won't play a factor in the Big Ten championship race, but they do have games against USC and Washington, which I do think Michigan, they should be able to beat both of those teams. And then they also have to play Oregon and Ohio State. And when you look at Penn State's schedule in the Big Ten, they have to play UCLA and USC. They also play Wisconsin, Ohio State, and Washington, and they avoid playing Oregon and Michigan. So obviously their toughest Big Ten games will most likely be the 4-game stretch actually of USC, Wisconsin, Ohio State, and Washington. That's going to be a tough stretch for the Penn State team. They also have to go out to USC and Wisconsin, so I could definitely see them dropping one of those games, most likely going to lose to Ohio State. So I mean, you know, when you compare the Big Ten schedules of Penn State and Michigan, Penn State could very easily lose 2 Big Ten games, which then when you look at Michigan's schedule, depending on what they do against Oregon and Ohio State is going to determine whether or not they go to the Big Ten championship game. But having those 2 games on the schedule, if they are able to beat one of those teams, will definitely give them an advantage of the head-to-head, especially if they only have one Big Ten loss when it's all said and done. So, you know, like I said, I could definitely see why they put Michigan 4th, Penn State 3rd, and obviously Ohio State 1 and Oregon 2. Just looking at that, obviously they predict both Oregon and Ohio State to beat Michigan, I'm guessing. But I mean, again, looking at Penn State's Big Ten schedule, they have that 4-game stretch. They could definitely lose 2 games as well. But again, I think what's going to determine the Big Ten championship is going to be the game Oregon, Michigan, Michigan, Ohio State, Ohio State versus Oregon, Penn State versus Ohio State. Those 4 games are definitely the top 4 games that are going to determine the Big Ten championship game. And when you look at Ohio State's schedule, they really have a very easy schedule. Their non-conference schedule is basically like Michigan's last year against very easy teams. And really Ohio State's toughest games are Oregon, Penn State, and Michigan. They also do play Iowa. You look at Oregon's Big Ten schedule, their toughest games are Ohio State, Michigan, and probably Wisconsin. They also play Washington at the end of the season. So it's going to be interesting. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about the preseason Big Ten media poll and whether or not you guys agree with it. Michigan coming in at number 4 behind Penn State, Oregon, and Ohio State. So listen, we could go on and on about the scenarios, who will make the Big Ten championship game. We obviously got to go through the season. There could be some upsets on the schedules, and obviously for the non-conference schedule for Michigan, in week 2, Michigan has a big opportunity to put the whole college football world on notice as they take on Texas. And one last thing I'll say about this is Michigan's defense this season, they're going to keep them in almost every single game this season, and they're going to have the chance to beat every team this season with the defense that they have. That's all I'll say about that. In fact, even in that same poll of all the voters, Michigan cornerback Will Johnson received the most votes to win Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, while defensive tackle Mason Graham also finished 3rd in that voting as well. So no doubt the Michigan defense has some stellar talent returning, but is also going to have an overall one of the best defenses in college football. But this defense is for sure going to keep them in some games. Did want to talk about Big Ten Media Days, as that is this week, July 23rd through the 25th, going to be a busy week in the Big Ten, as Michigan will appear on Thursday, July 25th. They'll have, along with Sharon Moore, players Max Bredesen, Donovan Edwards, and Makari Page there. And as far as the timing, head coach Sharon Moore is expected to have his press conference at 12:45 p.m. Eastern Time. Could be a little pushed back with the 5 other head coaches before him. And then also coverage continues from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Big Ten Network, which we'll see obviously the Michigan players answering questions and all of that. So just wanted to mention that. Also, here's some news for everybody. Netflix on Twitter announced that they will be releasing a documentary on Connor Stalions called Sign Stealer on August 27th, as he shares his side of Michigan's alleged sign stealing scheme that turned him into a viral villain. So I'm sure Michigan fans and rival fans and college football fans across the world will tune into that, as it'll be a documentary by Untold. Let me know what you guys think about that. Going to be very interesting there, as we will get to see what Connor Stalions has to say about it as he shares his side of things. And then also got some JJ McCarthy news, as this did come out a few days ago by Adam Schefter, as JJ McCarthy is signing a 4-year fully guaranteed contract worth $21.85 million. That includes a $12.71 million signing bonus and a 5th-year team option with the Minnesota Vikings, which I'm not an expert in, contract deals in the NFL, rookie contract deals, but I think this is a pretty good rookie contract deal for JJ McCarthy, as obviously the Vikings think he is their future quarterback and their future franchise quarterback. So very happy for JJ McCarthy. Can't wait to see him ball out in the NFL. And one Vikings player who did talk about JJ McCarthy recently was TJ Hawkinson, as he was on Bussin' with the Boys with Taylor Lewan and Will Compton. And Hawkinson, speaking about JJ McCarthy, he said that he's been incredible. He's been grinding in the film room, he's grinding in the classroom, he's a baller on the field. And he said usually, a rookie, when you go into the facility, you need to shut your mouth and go to work, and that's exactly what he did. And he's earned a lot of respect from a lot of guys, and he did say that he's a leader. He did that in Michigan, and I'm sure it'll carry over to the league just as well. Is going to be interesting. Obviously, the Vikings, they got Sam Darnold, which I wouldn't be surprised if they started him to start the season, but JJ McCarthy could definitely take that starting job once he learns the playbook more, the system more, but he has been working hard. Now, as a Lions fan, it does suck that they will be going up against him twice a year, but I will for sure be rooting for him and his success, especially when the Lions aren't playing against him. But he's got a bright future. Can't wait to see what he does in the NFL. And with that, that's going to wrap up today's video. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, make sure you guys go ahead, drop a like, comment down below, and subscribe for more if you are new around here. I greatly appreciate it. We are very close to 10,000 subscribers, so let's try to get there before the start of the college football season. I would appreciate it. But other than that, hope you guys all have a great rest of your day, and we will see you guys in the next video. Go Blue.